I specialize in working with young people,
Hmm.
and I didn't know that that was a gift. Well, I've just been blessed with the gift. I went through schooling to become a teacher, but a lot of the things that I learned was because I connected with people, and I love kids. I know how to develop them, right?
Hmm.
And not just with kids, particularly with young men.
Hmm.
There's this thing about young men that is special. So one thing that we do is we make one sound, one band, right? So
Hmm.
we go over the bro code. BROKODE for Kismet of Kings, all right?
Hmm.
The bro code, and then be respectful, be
Hmm.
responsible, be inclusive, be positive, and be a problem solver,
Okay.
right? And so we focus on that, and so now we get the one sound, because if a guy steps out of line, wilding or not getting good grades or not being positive or whatever, another young man comes in and say, let's get it
Mm.
together.
Community
Um,
accountability, so to
Oh,
speak.
absolutely, absolutely. Because right, I don't see them, throughout this day, or I mean, I see them on the weekends, but their friends see each other.
Mm.
Their friends see them. They see each other, and so that accountability piece is important. Another thing that I'm really proud of is this idea of one on ones.
Mm.
I learned how to do one on ones as a leader in Trenton when I was what we know as a vice principal.
So
Um,
what exactly is a
a
one-on-one?
one-on-one is where for so I changed it for us, but the one-on-one that we do is about setting goals with the young man, three goals for the year, meeting him every other week, and holding him accountable to that.
Mm.
So if he's saying that, I want to get straight A's, I want to be more respectful to my mom, and I want to one kid goes, I want to learn how to talk to chicks, right?
Okay.
And
Ain't
so it's
nothing wrong with
like,
that, better learn sooner than later, brother.
right? And so with anything that they ask, essentially we're guiding them towards their goals,
Okay.
and it's nothing more. That you one walks with a lot more pride when they're able to reach their goals,
Mm.
and knowing that they have a support system to do it.
Absolutely.
We're very intrusive. The mom and dad knows. They know who we are.
Hmm.
We are in basketball games. We're at schools. So no matter where you turn, we know somebody who knows you.
Hmm.
Right? Like
Yeah.
outside, we know your family. We know what's going on. So we're able to have multiple conversations with you about a bunch of things.
Yeah, man. And I remember, I'll never forget when we were on the camping trail, we went to a youth church.
Hmm.
It was a Filipino youth church
Sure.
on West Side Avenue, and one of the young men that was Kismet was Filipino,
Hmm.
and we went there. We met everybody. It was super welcoming,
Yep.
and I think you and I were the only two non-Filipino people there. Which I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. We were super comfy, and then lo and behold, behind us, we
Hmm.
get three other young men from Kismet walking in,
Yeah, that was crazy.
and I'm like, Lewis, what are they doing here? It's a
Right.
Friday night
Right.
at 7 p.m. They going to church,
Right.
and he was like, yo, they come to show out and support.
Yeah.
And I never,
Their brother.
yeah, that type
Hmm.
of brotherhood is
Hmm.
something that's rare these days
Hmm.
when it comes to. I'm not saying young men don't care about each other and won't spend time with each other, but to be willing to support another young man in his personal endeavors to that effect is something that goes beyond just being friends,
Absolutely.
so to speak, right? Because
Yeah.
you'll go to your friend's house to play some video games. You'll
Hmm.
go to your friend's house for dinner.
Right. Right.
But if I was like, yo, I'm leading a youth church, you
Right.
want to come out? That's a little bit different.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Right.
definitely see how you guys tie it in, and I think that's huge that community accountability, right? Because
Absolutely.
you can't be everywhere at all times. But if
Hmm.
you know, so to speak, I'm my brother's keeper,
Hmm.
and if you know they're around you, you're gonna uphold it a little bit.
Hmm.
And so with Kismet and Kings now you do have the gift of working with young men. I see that. I work with a lot of your young men.
Hmm.
They're constantly around me, and I see the level in which they live life
Hmm.
compared to people I haven't had that guidance. Now you are a father too.
Oh yeah.
Two amazing young boys. I don't know if you want to share their names. I don't put everything out there yet. They ain't famous yet, so we're gonna leave it there. But you are a father of two,
Hmm.
and you became a father after um, opening and creating Kismet and Kings.
Absolutely.
How has it, if it has at all, being so deeply involved in mentoring you through Kismet? How has that affected your like your ways as a father in your personal life?
You know, that's a very hard question. So initially, I didn't want to have children. All right. So all right, let's
I'm
back it
like,
up.
you have
Let's
to
back it
clarify
up.
this because
Yeah, let's
I
back.
need to know how we get to two and you don't. We need to because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
So
I'm doing it wrong.
so when I was younger, I told my wife and I met when I was like 18,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yo, I want like 5 kids. She
Mm.
was like,
Basketball
man,
team.
get out of here, get away from me, right? You know that type of
Yeah,
thing.
we're
Like, get out of here,
18.
right? And then when we got married, when it became real, I was like, I don't want any children.
Mm.
Like she was like, yo, how you gonna go from 5 to nothing?
You
Like
hooked
you
her in.
crazy?
You sold
Yeah,
it. You sold
exactly,
her a car
exactly.
and was like, "There's no tires. I don't want to take it back."
Exactly. And what I realized was I was dealing with anxiety about thinking about having children,
Ooh.
right? And so the anxiety came from, yo, are you good enough? Do you
Mm.
think that you'll be able to do this? Do you think that you'll be like your dad and leave? And or like, do you even know what to do? You didn't even have the guidance when you were younger. How would you know what to do?
Wow.
And what I learned was through counseling, of course, that the work that I was doing with Kismet prepared me for my boys, my two boys, right? So I had, I mean, no one calls me 2 o'clock in the morning to go and go and get them from a party that they
Yeah.
had too much to drink. AJ and Bo, they're not doing that
Not
now.
doing that yet.
But and I don't intend that they will, but I will be able to handle it better, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had that experience with young men.
Absolutely.
I've had experiences where a mom, kicks a kid out, at 8, 9 because he's being disrespectful, and I have to go over there and mediate and help
Yep.
him to see that the error of his ways, right? But also I'm the compassionate piece, right, where I'm like, listen. You have a purpose here on earth, right? Like that compassionate, loving, understanding version of myself that I appreciate when I'm with the young men. I'm able to be that for my two boys at home.
Mm.
So yeah, it has equipped me so much. Kismet, and just to think that I thought that I was changing the lives of young people, young men around the city, and the reality is that they changed my life in so many ways.
Mm.
Yeah,
Ain't that the truth though?
that's crazy.
Ain't that the truth though? Because I being at where I am in my life now, I was in a very similar situation. I grew up without my father in my life for majority of my young life. We're in a good place now, and yeah, I think it makes sense, right? Because if you don't have that example there, when you're younger, you're kind of learning life through trial and error. Maybe you'll read some books. Maybe you'll talk to some uncles. Maybe you even have mentors that can help you. But a lot of the at home stuff behind the scenes, you don't really get a feel for, so to speak, if there's no one in the whole house seeing it, right?
Right.
If your mom is there, you don't have a good example for a healthy relationship, you're not sure how to treat your woman. If you didn't have a man there kind of leading the household, you're not sure how to do it yourself.
Right.
And even subconsciously, we may get to that point of like, I don't want to do that. Not because we don't want it, but because there's a fear of not knowing how
That's right.
to do it. And the funny thing is, once you get it, you're like, yo, this is the dopest thing ever.
It's
like,
dope, but I always feel like I could do better, right?
Oh, that's so true.
It's amazing,
Mhm.
and I enjoy it thoroughly. But I feel like sometimes I miss the mark, right? Like I could stay up a little longer and read the book with him, or
Yeah.
when I'm leaving out the door and then the kids are crying, like I'm like, listen, I gotta go. I'll be back.
Don't you like
I'll be
this
back.
house? Don't
Right,
you like
right,
those
right.
Oreos
Don't
you
you
eat at 10 o'clock?
appreciate? Right. And so that's the hardest part. But you mentioned something about the dad piece, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very interesting what's happening right now in my life in terms of revelations.
Yeah.
All right. So my dad wasn't necessarily in my life, but he did the best that he could with what he had, right? Like, and I'm this years old, realizing that, right, and giving him that grace, right?
Yeah.
Because if situations were different for me, I'm not sure if I would be in my children's life, right? So I can't really judge him, and I'm able to provide grace there as a man. Right.
Yeah.
But what I realized that culturally, and this is something that I'm working hard on. So culturally, my dad was only required to take out the garbage, right? Or
Yes.
be the guy who, he was a funny guy, right? He
Mm-hmm.
probably made people laugh. But then at some point, he was expected to raise a family and be the head of the household,
Yep.
right? So at what point, how is he going to learn that?
Yeah.
Where did he get the skill set
There's no
from?
onboarding.
There's nothing, right?
There's no pamphlet that's like, hey, son, so you went from take care of yourself.
Right.
Now it's everybody else.
Billy yourself though, right?
Yeah.
Because some of my single dudes, like, they're like, yo, I'm going to the corner store to buy a bar of soap. It's just like, dude, like, you don't have
Why
a
do you
bar of
not
soap.
have
He
soap?
ran out of soap because, like, he's a
But
single
you were
dude.
outside already.
Right.
Like, either
right.
maybe I'm wrong. Like, you either were out last night and you're
Right.
showering this morning, or you are later in the day and you might have just been home from work and you still don't have soap. There was a long time between there was
Right,
soap
right.
and no soap.
Soap
So
and
he's
no
sitting there and his brother's like, "No, I gotta go on
Now
the
I gotta
street."
go to the store, right?
But
It's so when you think about that accountability piece, right? Like I
Yeah.
have the accountability, but what I'm doing with Kismet of Kings, right, with the young men, I'm not just preparing them for, like, marriage or anything like that, but I'm preparing them to be the heads of the household, truly, right? Beyond beyond the taking out the garbage, beyond I remember my mom saying, "Oh yeah, do the chores in the bathroom." You're like, okay, what I got to do? She's telling me everything. Like,
that
there's
she
no
needs you to do.
self-authoring.
Yeah.
There's no, oh, I see there's dirt over there. Let me go over there. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no
You don't gain that until later in life.
But and there's no real requirement for that.
That's
in
true.
In a space, right? Or I don't know many people who trust an 8-year-old to be like, yo, you can cook the rice tonight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me.